Today we will explore two of the most common data types in Python, strings and Booleans, the building blocks that make your programs talk and think. Hello learners, welcome to your learning hub, the Learning Loop. I am Swati Sharma and this is the 9th video of my beginner-friendly Python course series. If you are joining me for the first time, thank you for dropping by. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos yet, I will highly recommend you to go back and check those out so you are all caught up. In today's video, we will explore two more data types, Boolean data type and string or text data type. So without a further ado, let's dive in. Let's start with the first data type of this video, that's strings. A string in Python simply means a text. It could be a word, a sentence, or even a full paragraph. Anything that you put inside quotes is considered a string. In Python, you can use single quotes, double quotes, or even triple quotes to declare a string. And we will see that with an example. We will explore all the use cases with single, double, or triple quote. If you put a simple text or a line in single, double, or triple quotes, these works the same way, but there are small tricks on how you can use these quotes, and we will explore that in our examples. All right, let's explore the strings with examples and see the usage of the quotes as well in these strings. One more thing we are going to learn today is comments. If you put the hash here, you would be able to use these lines as comments. So when you are running a program, Python will ignore these lines. So you can write these comments to give a description of what we are doing in the code. And it is a best practice to use comments to explain what we are doing in the code. So if in case somebody else comes and looks at your code, they know by looking at your code or your comments that what you are trying to achieve using maybe the below block of the code. All right, let's first start with a single example of a single quotes, and I will just write a comment, a single quote, let's say string example, and I'm going to declare a variable name 1, and I'm going to use single quotes and then write the name. Any name you can write. I have given Swati. And once I have done that, you can also use the print statement to actually check that name out. I'm going to select that, and just for my learners, I'm using Spider right now. To run my programs. You can use any other IDE as well. If you want to learn it on any other IDE, please comment below and I can start using any other IDE so that you are more familiar with those IDEs as well. So I'm going to run this program, and you can clearly see here that the variable name has been given the value Swati, that's text. Now we are going to do the second example. I'm more or less going to just replace few values. So I'm going to do copy paste, and I'm saying double quote example, and I'm going to change the variable to name 2, or you can change the same variable to another value. That's your wish. And I'm going to use double quotes here, and I'm going to name or give name Usha, and I'm again going to print that. And I'm going to run this, and you can see it is exactly the same. I used the double quote instead of single quote, and it is still the type string, and you can see the text out here. You can see the values in the console as well, that Usha has been printed, Swati has been printed. And now we are going to see triple quote. Now we can use triple quote in two ways, but show you both. So I'll say name 3, and I'm going to use triple quote, and I'm going to write, let's say, my father's name Hari, and then there's a triple quote. You can see that. Or you can also name it as, you can do it like this, and I write Usha, or you can write let's say Sansar, and I'm going to do this. So Triple quote can be done either you have single quote as a triple 3 times, or you have double quote 3 times. Either ways, the triple quote is going to work. So I'm going to print name 3 and also name 4. So I'm just going to run each and everything. You can see the values name 3, name 4 has been given the values and they have worked fine. So now you can declare string 3 or 4 ways instead, and you can choose any of these ways. If you're just giving one word or one line, for example, I just say statement. I'll just say statement, and I give a variable statement. And now if I'm going a simple statement where we have no quotes or apostrophe s or something like that, or you have a simple statement, you can use any quotes you want of your choice and write like, for example, this is a statement. And you can use any quote, single, double, triple of your choice, no issues, and it is going to work without any issues. And you can see we have a variable statement here. However, for example, if you already have a quotes in your text, for example, I'll say quote in a text, example. For example, let's say I'm just going as the variable as example _1, and you know that this is also snake case. That's the best practice, that everything is in a lowercase. And if I have to separate 2 words, I am going with the underscore. So I'm going to, let's say I want to write a statement. I'm just going to use this. I am a superstar. Okay. Now you can see there is already a single quote in this particular whole sentence. So the trick is, if you have a single quote, try and enclose everything in double quotes here. And let's run it. And if it's other way around, if you have, give me a second, if you have a single quote, double quote in the statement or in the text, then try and use the single quotes outside. We will take that example as well. So this is an example where we have a single quote or a single comma or apostrophe comma in the statement, and we have used double quotes to enclose that. So you try and use the opposite quotes or to enclose a statement or to declare a string if you have any kind of quotes within the text that you are declaring. So I'm gonna run it, and it is going to run, and you can see this comma is also coming without any issues. Let's say if I had a double quotes in my statement, then I would suggest to use single quotes outside to declare that whole statement as a string. So now let's say I'm going to enclose that in the single quotes. That's how I'm going to declare a string. I will have single quotes outside because in my statement or in my text or string that I'm going to declare, I already have a double quote in it. Let's say I say, he says, and I'm going to now use a double quote here. This is a double quote. Sorry, this is a quote in quote example. Oh my God. Okay. Now when I'm going to run this, it is again going to run without any issues. You can see that. See? So whenever you have any kind of quotes, be it double or single, in the statement or in the text that you are going to use as a text, try to use opposite quotes outside. For example, if there's a double quotes in the statement, try and use single quote outside. If you have single quotes in a statement, then try and use double quotes outside. Alright, now we are going to see when we need to use a triple quote. For example, if you want to write a paragraph that would use different lines or that would span to multiple lines rather than in one single line, I will only use triple quotes, because if you try and use double or single quotes, you would see that your code is giving an error. And we will see that with an example here. And I'm going to declare a variable, example 3 is equal to, and right now I'm going to use single quotes to show you. I will say I am a Python programmer, and I'm going to the next line, and you see it is giving me an error. There is a cross here. So Python is saying it's not correct, right? Even if I try and write something, I am trying for a trip, okay, or I am writing a triple quote example. You can see it is giving me an error. It's not taking that. Let's try and use double quotes and see what happens. And I use double quote, and it's the same thing. It's still giving me an error, and it is not considering the second line as a string, because you see, if you go by the color coding, strings are shown as the green color, but in here it is not taking whatever is written in the next line as a string or as a text. So, but let's try triple quotes, and now you see it treated the whole 2 lines as a string. And if I am going to run now, in this case, this is a very good example. As you can see, this example 3 is spanning 2 lines and is it's a full block of code. It's a single block of code. So we need to select the whole code. That's a single block of code, and then hit run. If you hit run, considering where the cursor is, it is going to give you an error, and I'll show you. Let's say if it's on a second line, I'm going to hit run and it is going to give me error. So in order to tell Python that this whole example 3 and the 2 lines is a single block of code, you have to select the whole thing and then hit run, and you can see it is being run without any issues. And if I go to the variable explorer, you can see the example 3 here, and the 2 lines of the code has been taken as a string here. So it is also taken the space that I have taken here as a string. So if you do not want that space, you just do this, and then let's just run it again, and you can see that space is gone here. With triple quote, you can also maybe use this as to maybe write comments. If you want to have a text, you want to explain something in your code that is going to span multiple lines, you can use this as comment section as well. Like, I am using the triple quotes as comment section in my Python code editor. I am going to write this in multiple lines. I mean, you can write anything you like. I'm just showing you, and you can write as many lines you can, and you can see it is written there. So because if you use hash, you can only write one line. The hash is spanned for only one line. If you want to give any comment the next line, you have to start with hash again. But if you use triple quotes, you can write everything that you need to explain and move forward. It is on you how you would like to use that, but I just wanted to give you a classic example of how you can also use the comments, and how we can declare the strings. One more thing, or one more function I will say we will learn before we move to Boolean data type is input. It's a very, very important function, because it is going to be used when we are writing more programs in future. it lets the user to input its own things, or input different variables. For example, there is a username and password. Obviously, we cannot hard code it, and we want the user to maybe enter that. So we have to prompt that to user to enter it, right? Or maybe let's say I am putting out some form and I want the users to input each and everything. So in that case, we can use something called as input. That's a function. And I'm going to just delete everything here, and then we will use the input function here. Let's say I want the name to be entered by my user. So anything that's in quotes would be written out. I would give a function input, and then I'm going to enclose, and I can now put any statement that or a prompt that a user will see, and then give any input to it. So if I write please enter your name, okay, and I just write this out, and now I will just, once the name is entered, I want to print the name, and I'll say the user's name is, and I'm going to put comma here because after this I'm going to get the variable. Okay, so what I did print and the text that I want to print. And if you want to print multiple things, you just separate them by comma and then write. In my case, I'm printing the variable, that's name, because I'm not sure what name would be entered. So whatever the user has entered at that time, that name would be printed. So let's see how this behaves. So we would need console. So I'm going to first run the first line, and you can see it is giving me a prompt to saying that please enter your name, and I'm going to write Swati, and I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to print this line, and you can see it is giving out my name, the name that I have just entered. So if I have not given any data type in front of input, that I can also do, then that is by default going to be a string data type. And we will see that. Let's take an example for age. Let's say I want the user to enter their age as well. So I would say input, obviously the prompt or the text that I want to print out, and you can see I say please enter your name, and you can see this has been printed out when the user was prompted to enter your name. So I will say please enter your age. Okay. And in order to check what is the data type of age, we will say print type and then say age, and also I will print age so that we will know that it is printed out as a number, whatever we have entered, and we will also see what is the data type once we enter the numbers. Because by default, because I've not hard-coded anything in front of input, that is going to be a string. So I'm going to run this, and it is asking me to enter your age and not giving out my actual age. So I'm going to write 18, and let's do print age. I mean, you can see in the variable explorer in Spider as well, but we are going to see it using the type. You can see when I do print age, it's giving me 18, but when I do print type age, it says strings. You can also see that in the variable explorer, it says string. And let's say I do not want this to be used as string, right? And we will see how we can use this age in the loops or in conditions and everything, or in the numbers if anyone has entered that. And if that's a string, maybe I can't compare or do something about it, or how I can use this particular variable, the whole thing changes. So I do not want that, because in Python, based on data types, Python would be able to perform certain functions. So let's say there are certain functions that Python can perform on numbers, maybe integers, floats, or complex numbers, that Python cannot perform on strings. Now that age is a string that restricts me to perform anything that I can do with the age if that would have been a number. And what that would be, you will get more gist of it once we explore conditions, or we explore conditional statements, or the comparison operators. That's a topic that we are going to cover in upcoming videos. But I will show you as well a few more things when we are doing the Boolean data type as well, that how we can do the comparison. So let's say, for example, I say age greater than 18, and if I hit enter, and it says this operator is not supported, because obviously that's not a number, that's a string, so it would not know what to do with it. So if I had code with int, now if I have put int, so what it would do is, whatever the age has been entered, I am explicitly changing that to a data type that's integer, because I want that if a user input anything, or in this particular variable, that's age, should be taken as an integer. So if anyone say 18.5, I'm going to consider that also as an integer, or it would give me an error. So let's see that, and I would run this, and let's say I hit 18. And you can see that in variable explorer itself that it has been changed to int. Now if I use age greater than 18, it is giving me some option false. That's Boolean data type that we are going to discuss just like after this one is completed. So, but I cannot perform this function with the integers. So this is very important. When you're giving the input function, you should know what output you are considering. So let's also see what happens if I write, let's say 18.5. It says invalid because I have hard-coded it to integer. So you have to make sure there is no decimals included in that. Now let's move on to our second data type, Boolean. Booleans present truth values, that is either true or false. You can think of it as a Python's way of answering the yes or no questions. As we saw in previous example, now I have given the age 20 here, and if I do age greater than 20 or greater than 18, I'm sorry, it would give out the value as true to me. So that's a Boolean data type, true. And let's say if I say age less than 18 and I check that, it's going to give me false. So true or false are the values that we are mostly going to see when we are using a Boolean data type. And these are very, very useful in our conditional statements or loops when we are trying to check few things. So more or less we make our program more interactive using these Boolean types. So we should be aware when it's true or when it's false, how it is considering that, and how the programs are behaving using these Booleans. So you just need to know true or false are actually, whenever you see a true or false, that's a Boolean data type. And also please make sure that if it's a capital T, the Boolean data type would be presented with the capital T or a capital F. Let's say I say A is true and I say is equal to false. The F should be in capital, otherwise, and you can see is true is being given the type of Boolean. And I say, let's say is true is equal to false. Now it is not going to consider that as a Boolean data type, and it is already giving me an error. So please make sure that when you are giving that false or true, it is actually with a capital F. Just one more bonus tip, this true and false also have some binary values. Binary is two numbers, 0 and 1. So true is 1 and false is 0. Let's see that. If I say print copy and I say true plus true, sorry, and I'm going to hit run, and you can see the value is coming out as 2, because both the trues are taken as 1. And let's say if I say print true plus false, it is going to come as 1. So the false is taken as the 0 and true is taken as 1. I'm not sure if that would work, but let's try. So let's say I do int and I say true. Let's see. And I write it as true binary. Okay. And I'm going to do this. And when I say int, you can see the value has been taken as 1 here. And let's say false binary or number, whatever you want to call it. I'll leave it to you. And I say false. Just to let you know, guys, what is the value, what I'm saying. And you can see false is taken as 0. You can see in the Variable Explorer, true binary, when I'm hard coding it to be integer value, it's 1. False binary, when I'm hard coding it to integer value, the value is. Booleans are used in programming, especially when you're making decisions. For example, you want to check if the person is over 18 or not so that they can vote. Some examples of that, and we will see Booleans being used widely in conditional or loop statements. But for now, let's understand that Booleans are true or false values. Let's quickly recap what we have learned today. By the end of this video, now you're aware of 3 ways how you can declare a string. The 3 quotes that you can use, that single, double, and triple quotes. You're also aware of the usage of the input function. We also saw how to post a comment in Python, and along with that, we also learned the Boolean data type. Before we wrap up, I would also like to go over what I would be covering in my next upcoming videos. In the very next upcoming video, we would be going over sequence data types. And just to let you know, string is one of the sequence data types that we have already covered, but we would be covering the other 2, list and the tuples. Once we have learned about list and tuple, we would be going over the set data types, where we would be covering sets and frozen sets. And once we have learned about the set data type, we would be moving on to the dictionary data types. That's it for today, guys. If you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram for daily Python tips. I'll see you guys in next video. Until then, happy coding!